Is the cure to male loneliness flying the F-14 Tomcat? Alright, welcome back everybody, and yes, your eyes do not deceive you, I am flying the F-14 Tomcat, specifically the F-14B Tomcat in these clips. All of this was filmed on Contention's 1980s, and I kind of want to just use this background, I just want to talk about the F-14 and how I feel about it, because, I don't fly it a lot on the channel whatsoever. I have relegated a lot of my combat stuff to flying the F-15C and E and even the F-16, right? But obviously a lot of the people who have come to my channel have come to it because of the F-14 tutorials, and I'm kind of doing them a bit of a disservice by not ever actually posting any F-14 content. But I just really haven't found any reason to fly it, because the gaps that it has, specifically the more modern stuff, is filled with the F-15, and then even in the 1980s stuff, a lot of it is filled with the F-15. So I'm going to talk about how the Tomcat actually feels to me now after flying it for a little bit on Contentions doing Fox-1 stuff. Now, I believe that the F-14 is very good. It is very, very good in the 1980s scenario, late 1970s. I think it's one of the best platforms. I honestly believe that it is right there next to the F-15C in terms of capability and performance when it comes to Fox-1 jousting. The scale that comes off is Mirage, tippy top. Mirage 2000, very top of that scale, and then directly underneath that is the F-15, and I would squeeze the F-14 in there as like a, not a runner-up, but, two people on a single podium kind of deal, and then it's everybody else. The F-14 is very good. I really like it. It flies very similarly to the F-15C. The only difference, obviously, is that, well, you have like a limited visibility canopy and non-digital avionics, and you also have Jester. Now, a lot of people complain about Jester being bad. I frankly didn't have any problems with Jester while I was flying the F-14 in these clips, and in any other time that you're not going to see here. But I haven't really found too much problem with Jester. I think that if you are able to single out targets and get the radar pointed correctly, you can very easily lock people up, no problem, and track a bunch of targets at once. Now, this is also being said with the caveat that I don't use trackwall scan. I do not recommend you use trackwall scan with Jester. Obviously, you need trackwall scan, or would prefer to use trackwall scan when firing Phoenixes, but we're not talking about Phoenixes here. Those are not even remotely in the realm of discussion for competitive PvP missiles. It's just not a thing anymore. Now, the Sparrow is fine, and I think when you're doing Fox-1 with Jester, it's perfectly fine. Like, obviously, he's not it's not super fast to command Jester to do things, right? But give it enough time and distance, it's perfectly fine. And the shortcomings with the amount of time it takes for you to use Jester to actually acquire and pick up a target is filled, that gap in time is filled up by PAL mode, Pilot Automatic Lock-On, that big 20-degree 8-bar super search that locks anything up instantly outside of 15 miles, excuse me. It is honestly a godsend. Now, that's also another thing, is like, that is one of the things that makes this better than the F-15. The other thing that makes it better than the F-15C is the data link. That is huge, huge. You get fighter-to-fighter data link, you get AWACS data link. It is a big, big deal to have that kind of thing in an environment that can get as hectic as Fox-1. So that's another thing that it has going for it. And I was using the data link a lot. It is very, very easy in this to have data link contacts to engage one target, kill it, and then immediately hit the PAL button and do a hard turn into the other guy until you pick him up. And you'll see that, I believe, you'll see that here soon in one of these clips. But, the features that it has really, really makes it competitive for the Fox-1 arena. And even flying in competitive, my team, if you want to join the team, Alamo Aggressors, link in the description to our Discord channel. If you want to join that, we fly F-15s mostly, but we also fly other things, so check us out. Anyways, you know, we fly mostly F-15s, and we flew that in the old House of SAR tournament. The last one that happened, we flew the F-15C, tried to eagle wall it and stuff like that, and we got crushed by Eclipse Task Force, ETF, who flew an entire assortment of F-14 Tomcats. They beat us with the F-14B, and one of the main things was that they went in and really pushed the envelope on the kinetic capability of the Tomcat. Like the Tomcat, the F-14B can actually out-accelerate an F-15C in the proper flight profile. Like by the time we were meeting up with them, we were maybe going Mach 1.4, and some of them were pushing Mach 1.6, 1.7. It was really crazy, and that speed is extremely important. Like we had more altitude than them, but they had way more speed, and that kinetic energy is very important when you're talking about Fox-1 fighting, more so than Fox-3, and they crushed us. You know, there's that. The F-14 puts up a very good fight. Now, besides how the Tomcat feels, I want to talk about how I actually use the Tomcat. One of the main way I use the Tomcat is my setup is 4 Sidewinder, 4 Sparrow, specifically the AIM-7P Sparrow because it's the best version, so why not use it? And I always make sure to have the ACM cover up. You'll notice that in all these clips I have the ACM cover up. That is to disable the loft profile on the Sparrow, because the loft profile on the Sparrow sucks. Never have a lofted Sparrow. If you're flying the F-15C, just take M's. If you're flying the Hornet or the 14, disable the loft when you're shooting. It is not worth the kinetic energy retention. Because again, you have to hold your lock. You want your missile to hit the other guy first, so do not have that missile loft. It will always get there second. I've tested this a lot because I really wanted to make sure that that was the case, and even though the MH and P may have a little bit more energy on impact, like you're talking like 0.2 to 0.3 Mach more than a regular AIM-7M or non-lofted MH or P, it gets there several seconds later, and those several seconds mean a lot because that means you're dead and he's not, right? So you want to always fire a non-lofted Sparrow until Eagle Dynamics decides to fix the loft profile so it doesn't suck horribly. Now, with all that being said, I don't take shots far enough away for the lofting to even matter in the first place. Certainly not on public servers. When we're talking about the actual like competitive setup, you know, I'm shooting, you know, 20+ miles away on that first pass. But when we're talking about public servers, I am very rarely, if ever, taking shots outside of 10 nautical miles. Almost all of my shots are inside of 10 nautical miles, which allows me to do what I do in these clips, which is switch to a Sidewinder and fire a Sidewinder at roughly the F-pole of my Sparrow shot. You know, if you don't know what the F-pole is, it is the distance between you and the target when the missile impacts the target, and that is generally calculated if you crank. It's generally calculated to be about half range, right? So if you fire a missile at 10 miles and you crank appropriately, and the target stays hot or flanks or whatever, you know, just doesn't turn cold or notch, then the missile will hit at about half range, which is 5 miles in that case. And at about 5 miles nose hot, you can fire a Sidewinder at pretty much any altitude and it will connect as long as the guy stays flying hot. Right, so I really like to use them in that manner, and it's quite effective. It really is quite effective to do it in that manner. Now again, just to reiterate, I do use PAL mode a lot. I use the data link, I talked about that earlier, and I think you really should be abusing the fact that you have data link a lot and be abusing the PAL mode a lot. I think in my air combat tutorial I said don't use it that much. Use it a lot. I specifically meant don't use it when you have visual on the guy and he's inside of 5 miles. In that case, go PLM, go VSL. That's infinitely better. It's quicker, and it will lock the guy up. But PAL mode is your best friend in the Tomcat. It's so much easier. It makes up completely for the ineffectiveness of Jester in the short range fights. So you should definitely use it. Also, one thing to note is to not be afraid of altitude. A lot of people really are scared of getting up high. When you're in Fox-1, you need that altitude, you need that speed, and altitude will give you speed. Even if you're not super fast on the start of a fight, you know, say you're like, you just enter 40 miles from a guy, if you're up at 40,000 feet, and the guy isn't up at 40,000 feet with you, you could just dump your nose like 5-10 degrees and pick it up and go supersonic and be there by the time, you know, have superior speed by the time you actually take that first missile shot at the guy, and you'll just win the joust there, right? You'll just win the joust. So I recommend flying high, not crazy high, and try not to be slow. You really do want to try to be right there on the cusp of the transonic regime, you know, Mach 0.8, 0.9, as much as you possibly can, and then just switch, and then just go burner and dive a little bit when it's time to intercept. And I recommend starting an intercept at about 40 miles. You know, 30 miles minimum, because you really want to have a little bit of time to try to lock them up before PAL range. Although a lot of the time when you do that, people run scared, which leads into the next segment here about what I hate about Fox-1 on public servers. And now this extends to Fox-3 as well, but it's very, very prevalent, and it's very obvious that a lot of people just have no idea what they're doing in Fox-1. A lot of people will just take a missile shot, I shoot back at them, and then they immediately break lock. And this is more so for like flanker pilots. They are very scared for some reason. I don't know why, but they are very, very scared when I fight them. Mirage pilots are different. Mirage pilots, Mirage 2000 specifically, not the F1. F1s get dumpstered sometimes. Although the 530F is a very crazy missile in the correct parameters. The Mirage 2000s are insane. They, like I said, they are the best Fox-1 fighter, hands down. And we're not counting the R-27E, the extended range versions of the R-27. Those are a completely different class of missile, and they should not be anywhere near a Fox-1 server. But the Mirage 2000 is the best one, and the people who fly that a lot are very good usually. They're very good. And even if they're not good, the jet just makes up for them sucking, because as I've discussed before in other videos, it has an invincibility jammer that, you know, makes all your Fox-1s, all your Sparrows and stuff just instantly die when you try to shoot at them. So that's unfortunate. And then it's also obviously just like a really crazy dogfighter, but it also has the best missile. And the only thing holding that missile back is the 45-second battery life, because France doesn't know about Duracell, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, that was a pretty big rant for basically nothing. But anyways, the biggest problem I have with Fox-1 is that people run scared. People don't know what they're doing. They don't know. Maybe it's because they don't understand what the F-pole is. You know, they don't understand that it's a joust, right? And if you ever seen a medieval, you know, lance joust or whatever, right? They got really, really big poles, and they run at each other, and they try to hit each other, right? And that's how you have to look at Fox-1 fighting, is that you need to have the bigger stick. It's more important here than it is in Fox-3 to have the bigger stick. You need to be able to reach out and hit the guy before he can hit you. And so that is what having a lot of speed and a lot of altitude does, more so than even in Fox-3. Again, Fox-3, you know, fights happen at much longer ranges just because you can launch and leave, right? And obviously the missiles are better typically, but it's extremely important in this because, again, you have to hold that lock. You have to maintain track of your guy while your missile is in flight. So you need to get that missile there faster so you don't die, right? Or before you die, right? He needs to die first, you die second. And also, my playstyle for Fox-1 is hyper-aggressive. It is extremely aggressive because of the fact that you have to hold lock. If you fire a missile and you break lock, it better be because for some reason you broke gimbals, which is bad on you anyways, or he's dead, right? Those are the only two reasons you should ever break lock. You're better off just trying to pull hard, turn in, get a Fox-2 off, and then try to break into the notch than you are turning cold and just giving up that fight, because it's just over. Unless you have a wingman, it's just over. So that, again, that's the problem with Fox-1, is that a lot of people don't have that in them. They start a fight and then they cower out, you know, they cower away outside of 10 nautical miles, and then they just run. They just run forever. and ever, and it is annoying, and it's a waste of time. And I understand people don't want to die, right, because they're in a bad situation, but you just got to get the reps in there. You got to experience it. You got to learn, right? I didn't get to where I am by running away from fights all the time, right? I spent a lot of time dying at first before I learned anything. So I really think that people should get out there more and just take fights, right? Just, you know, even if you're at a disadvantage, it's a simulator, right? Or it's a video game. You're not dying for real, right? So it doesn't really matter. Also, it's raining right now. It just started raining, so I hope you can't hear that. But anyways, there is no reason you shouldn't just be taking fights, learning, trying to push the envelope of your aircraft, push the envelope of your skill. You got to break through your skill ceiling every opportunity you can if you want to get better, because this really is a game where the skill ceiling is just immeasurably high. It is insanely high, and there's lots of certain things that you can do and you can learn that catapult you above other players, right? So, you know, just go out there and fight. Give me a good fight. I want good fights, because guess what? If I have a good fight, I get more videos, right? Can't just show a bunch of clips like I've been doing now of me just destroying F-16s because they can't really fight back. But yeah, anyways, you know, that's my thoughts on the Tomcat. I like how it feels in Fox-1. I think it's very good in Fox-1. You should use it the way I use it in Fox-1, because I think you'll have a lot of success, frankly. I'm not saying that because I know better. I mean, I guess I am saying that because I know better. But you should definitely use it, you know, how I've instructed here today, right? You know, just take fights, right? Because I know it's like, it may be a waste of time, because it's like, oh, it takes forever to start the jet up and load it and take off and fly to the battle area. And yeah, that's the case. I mean, it's not really the case in things like, you know, Growling Sidewinder. It's just Airquake or whatever. But I understand the time sink can be a problem. But you got to learn. You got to learn at some point. You're not going to do that without taking risks. And if you want to learn, you can always join the Alamo Aggressors, link in the description for the Discord server. Say hi and join our team. Anyways, before I go, I'm going to actually give you a legitimate like ranking for Fox-1 fighters, just so when you're flying you get an understanding of what you should be able to take and what would be a harder fight for you, right? And this isn't encompassing dogfighting. That's a different realm. It's a completely different realm, although it does matter. So number one on that list, as I described before, Mirage 2000. Mirage 2000 is the pinnacle Fox-1 because it has the best missile for the Fox-1 environment, and it is crazy fast. People who fly the Mirage 2000 correctly are going to be so high, so fast, you will never in a million years win that fight. It's just over. Number two is tied between the F-15C, because you get a really good radar and you get a lot of missiles, you get a lot of fuel, you can get really, really fast. So F-15C. Right next to it, F-14B. And the A there as well, right? Because they're not super different, but obviously they have the different engines. But B and A, and it is pretty much an F-15 in every regard except for the digital avionics. It's fast, has the same missile count, even has more Sparrows, which kind of makes it better. Has data link, which is crazy good. Has the PAL mode. Right, very, very competitive. It's just harder on the user to fly the F-14. The F-15 is very ease of use. And then beneath that, you got the MiG-29 and the Su-27, or actually, correction, Hornet. A properly flown Hornet, I think, is better than a flanker and a MiG-29. Properly flown Hornet will beat them 9 times out of 10. Then it's the flanker and the MiG-29. I'd probably put the MiG-29 above the flanker because it can get way faster, and the speed is what you need for Fox-1. So I put it up a little bit above that. And then it's the flanker because you get a lot of missiles. You get the, and obviously you make the MiG-29 and the flanker, you get the high off-bore sight capability. So very, very good when you actually get to the merge, which merges will always happen in Fox-1. You just got to be prepared for that. So yeah. And then I guess Mirage F1 at the bottom, MiG-21 at the bottom as well. Is there any? I don't think there's anyone. And then F-16 at the very, very bottom. Although F-16 can be pretty good in their right hands. But with all that being said, yeah, that's how I rank the fighters. That's how I feel about the Tomcat right now. I'm gonna get you more Tomcat footage here in the future. So I hope you really enjoy that. Let me know exactly what you want to see, because I'll probably do some air to ground and air to air and stuff like that. So yeah. I want to thank you guys all so very much for watching, and have a nice day.